poem, these are not words, and you are not humans. This is a message, these are the medium, and you are receiving. I could tell you about how my mom didn't compliment me when I was young because she didn't want me to get an ego. So instead she yelled at me. I could tell you about how from the very beginning of my life, the seed of me not being good enough was planted. So similar to a cotton plant, I was caught on the idea of my self-worth coming from outside sources, coming from being picked by another person based on my appearance. But why would you want to hear that? I can explain to you how it feels to think so damagingly and insignificantly of myself, and how my family and friends were like fertilizer, allowing these thoughts to grow out of control. I can tell you how it feels to always fall short in my parents' eyes when my brother's IQ is so tall that there's no option left but to shrink in his shadow. And how I can smell the lies seeping through my mother's teeth when she tells me that she doesn't pick favorites because the very next day she's telling me how disgusting I look and that I'm going to grow old and alone and unloved. And how all of that leads to a fist fight, preceding a fistful of pills, then crying about it in an empty parking lot, finding momentary comfort in the arms of a boy who won't remember me 3 years later, and how now my mom thinks buying me dresses is going to erase those memories. But why do you want to hear that? I can tell you about the bitterness in my heart towards standardized suburbia where every family is blonde-haired, blue-eyed, with 1.5 children and a dog. About how living in the epitome of white privilege breeds mental disease and substance dependency, but dresses it in white pearls with Michael Kors and calls it book club. But why do you want to hear that? I can tell you about what it feels like to selfishly starve day in and out while a plate full of food sits untouched in front of me, and about how even when I was thin enough to wrap my thumbs and fingers around my entire waist, the only thing I could feel was my non-existent fat and the all-too-real self-loathing that accompanied it. About how anorexia should be labeled a virus rather than a disorder, for it infects every aspect of my life and is dangerously contagious. About how even though I see my habits rubbing off on my 4 younger cousins, I continue to let it push me to the darkest depths of my sanity where my shining light of salvation comes in the form of a stinging metal blade paving the way for a maroon river. But please tell me why you want to hear that. What is this distorted romantic attraction we have as a human race toward everyone secretly being broken just waiting to be saved? Why wouldn't you rather hear about how this is my first year of true mental stability and I know what self-love looks like so I can love other people without expectation of reciprocation? And I've forgiven my parents because who they are is not who they were either, and that is a lesson I know all too well. And every day, I'm so happy to be alive and no one can take that away from me. This is not a poem. These are not words. You are not humans. This is a message. These are the medium. You are deserving of love.